Hello, everybody. I'm Dean Hamer, and it gives me great pleasure today to introduce you to two filmmakers who have won the special mention for documentary short at the Spark Animation Film Festival. And their film is called Circus in Town. And I'm going to introduce Robin and Sebastian and let them tell you a little bit about who they are as they answer my first question, which is, I have to say this is one of the most unusual animations I've seen in a while. What inspired this film? What made you to decide to tell this story?
Obviously. And maybe to answer your question, it was our film is inspired by the truth somehow. We found the picture and it was a very crazy picture, and it was a picture with very much emotion when we saw it. And so we started to think about what's behind this actual image from 1916 of this elephant that was hung on a derrick. And I think it's alone this picture is very absurd. And so our minds easily created already pictures and more stories in our head. So we dived into the research of the actual historical facts and created our own story out of it.
And Sebastian, how did you feel about this particular story? What made you want to tell this story?
The absurdity of this whole act of hanging an elephant. Well, at first, when I saw this photograph, which was the whole basis for our movie, I felt like, okay, let's first check if this is real or if this is a fake, because it was so surreal to me. And yeah, then it just catched us. We both were looking for a story for quite some time. When we saw this image, we did not directly at this moment know which story we wanted to tell, but we knew, okay, we feel like there is a story in this photograph, and we want to find the story which is in there and tell it. So yeah, I think we both just fell in love with this photograph.
I understand. So that was the photograph itself that was sort of the emotional kick for the film, would you say?
Yeah. And maybe in addition, we also love the combination of, like, you have a photograph, you have reality, and you have kind of this documentary thing, but you do it in animation, because I think animation is often just like, or it's not just, but it's often for children and very, very loud and very crazy. But I think it's a nice mix between documentary and this high fictional abstract art form. So I think this was what catched us too. So to create kind of this mix with this film.
And tell our audience a little bit about yourselves. Are you studying to be animators or to be artists, or are you studying to be documentary filmmakers? What's your background and how did you come to the project?
Yes. Okay, go on. Sorry.
you can do it. Sorry.
Okay, so yeah, we both were studying animation and VFX at IFS International Film School in Cologne. And this is Circus in Town was our graduation film. So we both wanted to go into the realm of animated movies or animated content. So yeah, we collaborated on that, and now we are both working in two different studios and working on animated content.
Great. And Robin?
Yeah, we were in the same film school, and so I think we were in this decision if we want to join a project for like VFX or visual effects. But I think we both love animation, and we both love to decide what kind of film we want to make. So we just did the directing of our own film, and one evening we just talked very much and maybe drank a beer And then we finally decided that we want to do a film together because we have a similar passion about the animation and on the style and on the kind of storytelling. So yeah, that was kind of the start of our collaboration and our co-directing.
Yeah, I think what's maybe interesting to add there is that if you study VFX and animation at our school, you come to the graduation film, you have two different options. You can either join an existing project from the directors, which are mostly real life, and you do the VFX, and or you can do your own movie, your own graduation film. And yeah, for us both, it was clear, yeah, we want to use that chance to do another short film, animated short film. And as Robin said, we have a quite similar taste in movies. That was a good match, or
Yeah.
we felt like it.
Good. I'm glad you chose to do your own film because that's always one of the most exciting aspects of being a filmmaker. And if you're doing animation, it may be one of your last chances to do your very own film, at least for a little bit of a while. So that's great. I also have done, although I come from the documentary world, I've used animation to tell documentary stories. And of course, the research is very important because if you're going to spend 6 months or a year making an animated film, you want to make sure the story is right when you tell it. Tell me a little bit about the background of this story. Where did the story actually take place? Is it in Germany or in America, or and how is it recorded? What did you learn about this story?
Maybe it didn't really start with this story because there was another case. There was 1906 or 1903, I don't know the exact date, but there was the electrocution of Topsy, I think was the name.
Yeah.
It was an elephant, and they killed it with a lot of electricity. And there was actual footage from there, from Thomas Edison, this great inventor of the beginning of the film era.
Yeah.
And this was what we saw first. And this was already a great impact because you see these, of course, moving images are always more powerful than just, or maybe they are often more powerful than just an image. But then in further research, we found this image, and I think it's maybe as an image, it's more powerful. Yeah, then we just dived into this research of this image. And
where did the story actually take place?
It was in America, actually.
Yeah.
It was in Kingsport in Tennessee. And I think I wasn't there, but we read that place is now called like the town that hang an elephant. So in the actual story, there was an assistant trainer who worked for the circus. In reality, he wasn't a guy who worked for a hotel, so he wasn't very experienced with elephants. And then he got killed because he didn't treat the elephant right. And therefore the circus wasn't, or has to show that this animal isn't dangerous, or has to show that they don't like dangerous animals, and therefore they killed or actually hung the elephant. And in reality, it was very cruel, or everything what we read was very cruel, because they hanged the elephant and then the elephant fell down and broke his hip. And then they hanged it again. Oh. And to show this image of the hanged elephant, it's so absurd from today's perspective, and maybe even from their time's perspective. But yeah, the story was very absurd. So yeah, we were really hooked of the real events. Yeah.
Was there much controversy or despair about this story at the time? Or was everybody like, hey, they finally hung that stupid elephant? Or were people commenting upon it? Did you ever encounter any stories about the story?
Not really. We were aware that there were some headlines, I think, about the story, so it was at least noteworthy, but we could not find really anything that comes close to protest.
Hmm.
But Robin, we found headlines, right? I think it was in the news, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And maybe in some news they were written that families went there with their children.
Oh,
So I won't go there with my kids because I don't want to show this to them. And yeah, or we don't really know what it was like that time, but it doesn't feel like they really find it very weird. So
wow. So tell us a little bit about the storytelling approach that you use, because I have to say, for me, the ending of the film was quite a surprise, almost a shock. I didn't see it coming. Maybe I'm a little bit dense, or was that a deliberate choice that you made to try and give it almost a surprise ending, or to increase the potency of that moment?
Yeah, we tried to hint at it. So our approach was that if you see the movie a second time, if you watch it a second time, you should be able to see the hidden signs you put in there, and or after you watch the movie and maybe go home and it's still in your head, and then you come back and say, oh yeah, there was this moment where the director looked kind of sad, but we didn't really know why. And okay, this chain he put around her neck. Yeah, I could have known then. Or yeah, okay, I could have an idea when I saw the crane, something like that. Um,
but maybe to be fair, I think nobody will expect a hanged elephant, maybe
no,
when you start to watch this
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
and
No, I think it's great. It's actually in storytelling, the right structure for a story is it's about one incident and then it has a shocker at the end. So it actually fits into a traditional storytelling mode very, very well. And I think there's a reason why that's always been a popular form, is because it just has a lot of impact, rather than something happens and then and you end up thinking about, God, why was that? What happened there? So it leaves you thinking, which I think is great.
yeah, it was
So,
all goal that the people go out of the movie and keep on thinking about it, that it stays in the head.
um, tell us a little bit about your art decisions and why you decided to use the particular format that you did, why you thought it was the right way to tell this story.
I think we had two main influences for the art form, because of course one was the time, because it was around the 1920s, 1960, and so we just watched movies from the time, and we used like the kind of the colors of the time, or not really of the time, but like the sepia look, and we wanted to use like this film structure that is somewhere in this space. And maybe more important, we watched styles of movies of the time, like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari was a great or a big inspiration for this film, because they are working with very tilted forms, and so we found this very interesting to tell a story that is absurd, to make like every side house or villager just like a weird deformed
It's very nice.
And yeah,
And surreal, I think.
Right.
Absurd and surreal were the terms which were thrown around in our room most of the time. Yeah, another big influence was Studio Leica, actually, with their stop motion movies, where who in our from our point of view, also have absurd looking character designs a lot of the time. So this was a big influence for our characters. Yeah, and I think the medium animation just is, I don't want to say the best because that might be a bit too absolute, but at least one of the best mediums for such a way of storytelling, because yeah, it just offers up so many possibilities in regard of art style, from sets to character design to post-production in terms of compositing, where you put in like different layers of, for example, photographic structures, stuff like that.
Mm. And just for other students who might be watching, how long did this project take you guys?
Do you really know? I want to know. Yeah, it's a long time, but I think we started, or the whole process was about 3 years. But in the beginning, there was so much time in finding a story and forming the story, and we were brainstorming a lot of nights and evenings what we really want to tell, and we made like 10 other stories that are now in our bin, and maybe we won't use them in our lives, but yeah, we just created very many storyboards and very many stories.
Yeah, I remember we on the train to FMX 2019, we decided, okay, we're gonna do this together, and now we on FMX we are going to watch a lot of short films. FMX is like a visual effects
Conference.
Yeah.
conference in Stuttgart in Germany. So we decided, okay, we are going to start there and look for inspiration, and that was in March 2019, I think, and we ended or it was in May 2019, and we finished our movie in March 2021. Yeah, so about half a year was looking for inspiration. Then we found the photograph. I think another half a year was coming from the photograph to the final storyboard, final animatic, and 1 year of
Drawing or
producing everything,
Yeah.
animating, or modeling, animating.
Yeah.
But I think we have to add that we are just 2 guys who did the film, and we had one guy who helped us with the sound design, and we had one musician, and yeah, this was the main team of this film, and
Yeah.
animation takes so much effort.
Small team. Do you have plans for the film going forward? Is it going to be a festival film? How are you going to get it out to people?
At the moment, we are showing or giving it mainly to festivals. Yeah, I think it had a showing in Korea, no, in Seoul at the GISFF. In Germany, and of course on your festival now.
Great, good. I just Googled the name of the title, and it came up and said, watch it in Netflix. Is that a real thing, or is
I hope not.
Surprise to you also? Okay, that's
you don't know this
internet
yet.
trick of some sort. You'll know if you get it on Netflix. No question about that. So tell us a little bit about what you're up to now. You say you're both working with studios, or do you have any big plans for future films, or trying to earn a living? What are you guys doing?
Actually, we are both currently working on different studios, but yeah, I'm working on an animation feature, but I definitely would love to create another film in the future, because this time was great and I really love to express myself in movies. And I think this was such a great experience to just decide every single pixel of 5 minutes film. So
Yeah, I think we will definitely do something on our own again, maybe in the evenings and on the weekends. But yeah, at the moment we are both working to earn a living, and also, at least in my case, regaining some energy, because these last 2 to 4 years were quite intense. And yeah, then hopefully get another short film or another project done.
That's great. All right. Well, I just wanted to finally close on a question that those of us who work on sort of social issue films and documentaries talk about all the time, but is rarely heard when we talk about animated shorts. And that is, what is the message that you hope that viewers will come away with from your film? What do you want them to feel, do, think about?
That's a very hard question for this movie, I think. Yeah, but I think there are two cases that happened, or many cases happened already from people who watched the film, but I have to think of two now. One was a 8-year-old children who watched the film, and she was she wasn't really happy after the film, and I think her mother had to talk a lot with her after the film. I still don't.
Questions, yeah.
I still don't really know if it was good that the kid watched this film. Maybe so it's not for children really. But another friend of me told me that she watched the film, and after 2 weeks she still came back and said, I had to think about this film so much. And this was a very good compliment, because I think it's nice if you can reach the minds somehow, that people think about the topic you kind of worked about or you put in the film. So this is like my hope with the film, that people think about, was it fair to hang this elephant? Was it fair, or when it's fair to blame somebody for something? And I think that's good if people think about things.
Yeah, I think it's also a movie, at least for me or for us, it's also a movie about deception. On the one hand, of course, the director deceives Mary totally, but in our mind, he also deceives himself, because obviously he doesn't want to hang Mary, at least not in the end. So, but he decides to do it anyways. And in our mind, there are two reasons for that. Either he tries to tell himself, oh, this animal is dangerous, I need to do it. Or he tries to tell himself, oh, now everybody's looking, I need to do it because the audience is there, and I need to save my circus. But he just gets himself into this mood that I have to do this, and deceives himself in that way. I think, yeah, maybe you can also go out of this movie and ask yourself, yeah, do I really need to do everything I tell myself I really need to do? Or yeah, just maybe question some things.
Well, I think that's great. For me, it makes me think how easy it is for us humans to blame the immediate cause of a problem, in this case, the elephant, instead of thinking about what led to the situation where that became a problem. And this is a systemic problem that we see, unfortunately, still today. So I think it's really wonderful that you made an animated, very short film that still has people thinking about it. And congratulations so much on your award. It's very much deserved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll say
That's
aloha,
very nice to hear.
and thank you again from Spark Animation.
Thank you.